Okay, listeners, let's learn sumo. I'm Clayton. Welcome to the podcast. Yes, my might sound a little bit different tonight. I had a bit of a technical failure, so I've gone to my backup plan, my headset that I use for commentating. So bear with me as we get through this podcast. You can join me on Instagram X or listen on YouTube, YouTube Music, and your regular streaming podcaster. Well, days 2 and 3 of the Grand Sumo tournament in Nagoya are done, and we have a decent new show on hand. Maybe back to normal programming after such a strange affair in Tokyo in May with so many injuries and our Sanyaku really not firing. And of course, injuries always figure in sport, but last tournament was a bit out there for me. As for our Sanyaku, well, we've got most of them firing now, one or two not firing. Let's have a look at day two results and matches first. If you want to move to day three, you can certainly go into the comments. I'll leave a time marker there for day three and when I cover those matches later in the podcast. Yokozuna, he fired in the ring on day two. He dispatched Meisei fairly easily with a standard drive out Yorikiri win. Looked more convincing than his day one fight against a fairly informed Hiradumi for sure. He did beat Hiradumi obviously on day one, but it was a bit of a scratchy win, I would say. Anyway, that was two wins for the Yokozuna, one apiece for Meisei. Hoshoryu, our Ozeki, he got a chance with Hiradumi on day two. Starting from a long way back on the line, Hoshoryu did a bit of a hit and shift on Hiradumi, who went full throttle at the Ozeki head first. He got pushed off, and Hiradumi started a bit of a Daisho-like threshing machine of Sapari thrusting as Hoshoryu tried in vain to get on his belt. Hiradumi on one hand, he got one hand on the side of Hoshoryu's head as he went defensive, but the Ozeki, he turned on the thrusters and got the big round belly man clean out of the ring reasonably easily. It was a pretty good win there for the Ozeki. Two losses for Hiradumi. Battle Hamster Takakeisho, he's sitting in Ozeki Karaban status yet again. Returned to a bit of form with a bit of a dangerous matchup with Daisho. Both went full at the Tachiai, and Daisho was pushed back to the Tawara bales. A lock up with the arms for a few moments before they re-engaged. Daisho, again, he got too committed, and Takakeisho felt it, stepped back, and took the Hataki Komi slap down on Daisho. Both win apiece after 2 days. Bit of a return to normal battle hamster thrusting from our Karaban Ozeki there. Maybe a little bit of life left yet. Kota Zakura, he took a win over Atami Fuji. Atami Fuji locked up Kota Zakura's arms. Kota had a big double body grip. Atami drove him back to the bales, but Kota Zakura, he went sideways to escape that, and Atami pressed the advantage, but he just couldn't finish it off. Kota Zakura slapped Atami's shoulder at the last moment to push Atami Fuji off, and he got an Oshidashi frontal push out on Atami Fuji, who just ended up in a pretty poor position once Kota Zakura got that push on him. Kota Zakura be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief after that one. It was a lucky escape as he was under a fair bit of pressure. It's still not what I'd call good form by our newest Ozeki there. One win apiece for both of them. Wakamoto Haru sitting down in Magashira 2 after his Kyujo in May, his injury. He notched up a significant win against our Shin Sekiwake Onosato, handing him two losses for the start of the tournament so far. Onosato's Oyakata did say the round of media and commitments for Onosato had been a bit of a drain on him both mentally and physically and disrupted his preparation. So maybe it's not such a surprise that Onosato has had a bit of a slow start there. Onosato, he drove hard getting Wakamoto Haru back to the bales, but I think that might have been a bit of a mistake for him because Wakamoto Haru, once he's on the Tawara bales, it gives him a chance to stabilise and it's a really good pushing off vantage for him. Wakamoto Haru, he took advantage and he got one hand on a rear belt grip and drove him back. He goes full Oshizumo and gets gets Onosato off balance. They both go over the bales as Wakamoto Haru is on one leg, holding Onosato, and as Onosato goes over the bales as well, Onosato, he hits the ground first. Wakamoto Haru was able to delay enough to get the win. Oshi Tayoshi, which is a force or push down win at the bales. 2 wins for our former Sekiwake, Wakamoto Haru, who wants a quick return back up the ranks. 2 losses for Onosato after day 2. Kirishima showed a bit better form against Mitakayumi, notching up a Yorakiri against the big man. Kirishima went for a big, deep front grip, but changed to a double belt grip as Mitakayumi could only get one hand on the right. Kirishima used his leverage to lift Mitakayumi. Now, Mitakayumi is a big man, and lifting him off the ground is no easy feat. Once he got that lift, he lifted Mitakayumi up. He had no balance, and he drove him back and out. A really good, solid win by the Ozeki Kirishima, giving him 2 wins on his journey for 10 wins to return to Ozeki. He's looking much better this tournament. Certainly the injury is not causing him as much grief now. 1 win for Mitakayumi at this stage. Abi got a Fusensho win against the injured Takayasu. Takayasu was holding his chest yesterday after he went out with the Kirishima match, and I thought initially that he got a bit of a chest hit from Kirishima. The replays weren't really clear on that point, but it appears that that wasn't the case. Takayasu actually had a pectoral muscle tear, which likely will keep him out of this tournament. That's kind of why he looked a bit winded and was holding his chest a bit when he went out. It was probably why we thought he had a bit of a hit on the chest, but it's actually a muscle tear, which is why he gave up at that moment and just got pushed out. Ura returned to his history of new and unusual techniques to beat Gonayama. Gonayama and Ura hit and hit from the tachiai. Ura going low as usual. Ura tried for the belt, but Gonayama, he tried very hard to keep him off. Gonayama drove Ura back to the bales, and he went in for a really big hit as Ura ducked down. Gonayama went in, found there was nothing but air in front of him, and Ura drove up like he was the monster from the deep, caught Gonayama in the chest, lifted up his center of gravity, and just drove a helpless Gonayama back to the other side of the ring over the bales. A great Oshizumo win by Ura Yorakiri. Tobizaru was up next against Onosho. He got an easy drive out win over Onosho there. Shononumi did the same to Oho. Kota Shoho got a win after a quick little mono E against Takanosho, who twisted late under pressure at the bales, but touched out first, so Kotoshoho got that win. Sadanumi got onto Kimbozan's belt and helped him out, a rear push-out Okuridashi. Oshoma showing pretty good form so far. He got a Hataki Komi on Ryuden, who was a bit too overcommitted, trying for the belt of Oshoma. Tamawashi got a win over Midori Fuji as quickly as possible. Now, if you remember their last meeting in May, it ended in a bit of a lean fest and holding arms, followed by a fairly impressive Karasukashi undershoulder swing down by Midori Fuji on the veteran. Midori Fuji went for the shoulder, but Tamawashi was too fast, drove him tumbling out over the bales for a Yori Tayoshi frontal force down. Now remember, Tamawashi not in this tournament, maybe next tournament he will get further along as the most consecutive bouts. I think he's got 16 bouts to get to that point. It's an impressive feat. No injuries anyway. The grand old man of sumo keeps going and gets a win on that on day 2. Shodai fell into his old methods, going a little bit too defensive at the bales. Ichiyamamoto, he held up better after Shodai twisted to pull Ichiyamamoto out. Shodai touched first, and that got Ichiyamamoto the win. Good match to watch lower down was Asanayama beating Hokuto Fuji. Look, it was pretty 2 large men, both fairly evenly matched, both with a very good history, trying to get advantage over each other. These types of matches are, as usual, decided by very small moments that give one or the other the advantage. Hokuto Fuji got a good neck thrust, Nottawa neck thrust at the Tachiai. Asaniyama absorbed it, got his right upper arm and controlled Hokuto Fuji back to the bales. Hokuto Fuji showed some pretty good strength there to recover and got himself a double body grip against the bales. Asaniyama then turned Hokuto Fuji over and unbalanced him. He tried for the Hataki Komi on behind Hokuto Fuji's head, didn't let Hokuto Fuji recover enough, and then Asaniyama, of course, got a better grip, pushed him back to the bales again, and um, got him over, helped him over gently, Yorakiri. Look, certainly Hokuto Fuji has got strength there and he's got some push, but just that little Hataki Komi behind his head put him in that bad position. And obviously, Asaniyama and Azeki, of course, previously lost that not by choice or technique, but by being a naughty boy, gets that Yorakiri win. A good win to Wakataka Kage over Roga in their first ever meeting. I was looking forward to this match. I thought Roga might put up a better fight, but Wakataka Kage got a one-handed belt grip and just controlled Roga straight out. It was a fairly easy win. So a good day of sumo with our Sanyaku finally getting their act together. Day 3 we moved into and saw Teruno Fuji face Wakamoto Haru. Now, remember the last time they faced, Wakamoto Haru had dropped to Megashira 1 due to illness in November. He got a demotion out of Sekiwake. Well, he got a Kinboshi, a gold star win. And when you drop out of Sanyaku and you're in Megashiro and you beat the Yokozuna, you actually get a little pay rise that comes with that due to being a Megashiro who beats a Sanyaku, and the most senior of those being the Yokozuna. Well, he wouldn't have got that pay rise if he was still in Sekiwake, so it was good timing for him to face the Yokozuna back then. Tonight, however, Teruno Fuji, he asserted his full Yokozuna dominance, didn't give Wakamoto Haru any chance at all. Teruno Fuji got control of Wakamoto Haru's right arm off the tachiai. You could see Wakamoto Haru, he got a left belt grip, but his right arm was elevated and Teruno Fuji had it under control. Teruno Fuji, that is his stock in trade, is getting control of his opponent's arms, locking them up, putting them in bad positions, and he used that to drive him back and out of the ring, Yorakiri, for his third win, no losses. It's clear the Yokozuna is motivated. He seems healthy. He wants those 10 wins to elevate him to a Dai Yokozuna. So going well. Wakataka Kage, he's 2-1 at this stage. Takakeisho took on Atomic Fuji, as I might say. Now, Atami Fuji has sat in the joy for a few bashos now, and so that Megashira 1, 2, 3 Komusubi position, that is the real meat grinder. Certainly that first week they all get a workout. He's done fairly well to stay at the top of the joy for the last few bashos. He's still pushing his wares there. Certainly he looks a little bit more comfortable in the ring, not as nervous as previously. Anyway, at the Tachiai, Atami Fuji, he went hard. Takakeisho didn't quite get the thrusting going as he normally would, but he does get a pull through on Atami's arm and got him slightly off balance. Somehow Atami Fuji changed his position, got his feet to recover his balance, moved sideways, had a little bit more balance. He got around the back of Takakeisho's belt and drove him sideways to the bales, got a big force down win on Takakeisho as Takakeisho hit the ground hard on his back. That'll be a Yuri Tayoshi force down. That won't have done Takakeisho's neck any good at all in that hard landing. So Takakeisho in a little bit of trouble, 1 and 2. Remember, he's Kataban, so he needs those 8 wins to prevent him being demoted. Atami Fuji, he sits on 2-1, really good in that joy position. On to the next fight, Kota Zakura. He showed his improved balance and patience with Ozeki Sumo against Meisei. Meisei just got driven back easily for a bit of a disappointing loss from him. 2-1 to Kota Zakura, 1-2 to Meisei. I'm having trouble saying Kota Zakura. I'm so used to saying Kota Nowaka, it's easier to say, so it may drop out there at some point. Anyway, moving on, Hoshoryu, our Ozeki, he had a bit of a time with it with Mitakayumi, who tried his large belly to force Hoshoryu out. Now, he nearly succeeded, but Hoshoryu with his hugely strong body core, that muscle inside that body of his is huge, and he gets into a position to get a grip on Mitakayumi and does return the favour on Mitakayumi with a pretty decent stomach pump to drive Mitakayumi out using his own technique. This was pretty impressive sumo by Hoshoryu, and more like Ozeki sumo when he's under pressure. He got that body grip and just held on tight. Hoshoryu very much going well, 2-1. Dropping that first match will hurt him later though. 1-2 for Mitakayumi after his loss on day 2 to Kirishima. Having a hard time of it. Kirishima, speaking of which, returns to his previous form with a win over Gonayama. Look, Kirishima's technical expertise is one of the best in the game. His hand placement and body position is clear. When he gets it right and he's balanced and patient, he is a formidable opponent. And Kirishima allowed Gonayama to drive him back, and they exchanged a bit of a hand wrestle, trying to get a grip on each other. Kirishima eventually went for a deep front grip and used it to drive Gonayama back to the bales, lifted him up on his center of gravity. Gonayama tried to resist, but the position of Kirishima's hand and Gonayama's single-handed grip allowed Kirishima to use his two-handed grip to lift Gonayama over for an Watanage belt throw over the bales. Kirishima in pretty good form so far, 3-0, much more improved. Certainly the injury from May doesn't seem to be troubling him. Gonayama 1-2. Hiradumi, shows how motivated he is in that meat grinder position in the Joy as a Shin Komusubi. Look, this was an impressive threshing win over Abi. Super fast at the tachiai. His hands were a blur as he pounded Abi with Supari thrust for the win. Worth watching that fight. Over in a moment, but wow, he's fighting so well. 1-2 for Hiradumi. Abi probably disappointed with that one at 1-2. Daosho, he just can't seem to learn that his style of super committed Supari thrusting is leaving him open to Hatake Komi's. He needs to go back and watch Hiradumi's fight. Hiradumi kept his balance and threshed away and achieved the same thing without going Hatake Komi. And again, he fell foul of it with Onosato doing the hit and shift to help Daosho down. I just can't understand why he hasn't pulled back just enough to work on holding balance or, trying to something to improve that balance to stop him being pulled down. Daosho 1-2. He will be disappointed with that one. Onosato gets his first win, 1-2. Tobizaru and Ura met up on day 3, and it was, as always, going to be an unusual one. They're both Chaos agents. Both Ura and Tobizaru did a soft tachiai, met with lower heads and exchanged arms. Tobizaru hit him in the body as they kind of hit around the ring, and Ura went lateral. Unfortunately, Ura got a bit too defensive, as he does sometimes, and as he went sideways, Ura was trying to get around the ring and move laterally. He tripped on his own feet and went down hard. He was probably lucky he didn't smack his head on the external Tawara bales in the square. He was moving fast. He was on the defensive, but those fast feet left him in trouble yet again. Tobizaru 1-2, Ura 2-1. Not all going wrong just yet. Shononumi, he did a hit and belt pull through a Watadashinage on Onosho for his third win. His form continues from the previous tournament, one to watch. Takanosho beat Oho with a driving sumo that Oho just couldn't stop. Sadanumi got blasted out by a motivated Kota Shoho. That puts Kota Shoho on 2 wins. Tamawashi loses Hiki Atoshi pull down to Oshoma, who's carrying on his form from the last tournament. 3 wins for him. He's another one to continue to watch. Midori Fuji, he lost to Shodo with an unusual pivot, well, very unusual over the back belt grip, which then turned into a funny pivot, which got just luckily got Shodai into a better position, and he forced Midori out. Midori Fuji had a couple of opportunities, he just couldn't finish it off. A bit disappointing there. Asaniyama, a strong and controlled win for him tonight. I thought he carried himself well, had really good balance, nice and strong, and he just helped a very panicked Chiranumi over the bales. 3 wins for Asanoyama. He is going to, like Wakatakakage, clean up in these lower ranks. Speaking of which, Wakatakakage got himself another win over a very hapless Endo. Endo just does not have any answers to Wakatakakage. That is 6 losses and no wins for Endo over Wakatakakage. Look, it was an easy Oshisumo win there for Wakatakakage. Nishiki Fuji got his second win over with a win over Kagayake. A little pirouette dance as they went across the bales to get into a position to push Kagayake out. I think Kagayake was a bit surprised by that. Look, that was it for the last 2 days. That'll be day 2 and day 3. Couple of great fights. Some good nights of sumo. Our Ozekis and Yokozuna finally firing. Well, mostly firing on all cylinders. Should be interesting. I see this, if we can keep everyone healthy, this will be a really good fight on as we go. Now, join me again later in the week for another update. Keep an eye on the Sunday morning sumo show on YouTube for commentary each night, where they do some English commentary of the Makuuchi fights. I may just be able to join them later in the week, maybe Thursday night, if not Sunday night for a bit of commentary myself. I hope you can join me there. It's a bit of fun with Goose and JJ. We should enjoy ourselves through the 2 hours of sumo. Anyway, everyone, hakioi listeners, let's learn sumo.